All right, Shalom Yasha'Allah, back with another GMS on the go. I'm Brother Nakam. I'm with the Raleigh, North Carolina camp. Before I go any further, I'd like to give all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Next up, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone from teaching us this truth according to the Bible who rule well, and a double shalom to all the sincere Akim throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and righteousness and sincerity to the best of your ability. And I was able to get up today through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shema Shai. Yahweh, that's the Heavenly Father who the world ignorantly calls God, which his name means he is or he exists. And Yahweh Shai being the only begotten Son, that's who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, which his name means he saves, he delivers. And I'm just going to get to a lesson today on you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans are the Lord's chosen people according to the Bible. I'm going to say that again. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans are the Lord's chosen people according to the Bible. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right into it, grab my first precept, and Lord willing, the elect of the nation of Israel is edified. All right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. That's right. And when you look into that word holy, it means to be separate. And this is referring to who? You so-called Negroes, Latino, and the Americans. You so-called Negroes, Latino, and the Americans, you're supposed to be a separate people, a separate nation unto the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shema Shai. Excuse me. Got a little cold. You see, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and the Americans, you're supposed to be separate from all these other nations upon the face of the earth. It reads on. The Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, have chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself. That's right. So Yahweh Shema Shai, the God of the Bible, they didn't choose Moab and Ammon, so-called Chinese and Japanese, to be a peculiar people unto themselves. They didn't choose Esau, the so-called white man, to be a peculiar people unto themselves. They didn't choose Ham, the so-called Judean Africans, to be a peculiar people unto themselves. They didn't choose Ishmael, the so-called Musty Arabs, to be a peculiar people unto themselves. They didn't choose Elam, the so-called Dyes Indians, to be a peculiar people unto themselves. Yahweh Shema Shai, the God of the Bible, they have chosen you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to be that peculiar people upon the face of the earth unto themselves. And when you look into that word peculiar, some synonyms goes back to strange, odd, unusual, and so forth and so on. These are just some definitions of the word peculiar. And these other nations, they definitely look at you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans as a strange people, as a strange nation, in a good way. You see, because when it comes to sports, you look at basketball, you see Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, James Harden, Stephen Curry, and so forth and so on. And you see how they doing tricks with the ball, going under their leg, going around their back with the ball, doing alley hoops, gliding from the free throw line, doing windmills and so forth and so on. And that's strength to these nations. Why? Because we doing things that they can't do. When you look at football, you see LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshawn Lynch, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, and so forth and so on. You see how they doing juke moves, spin moves, diving into the end zone, catching passes with one hand. And that's strength to these heathen nations. When it comes to so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, breakdancing, doing all these different flips and spins, moving their body in all different kind of angles and different ways, and that's strange to these heathen nations. Why? Because, again, we're doing things that they can never do. And it's ultimately because what? The God of the Bible, Yahweh Shema Shai, has chosen you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to be that peculiar people upon the face of the earth unto himself. I'm going to read that from the top again. This is Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, have chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the face of the earth. That's right. So Yahweh Shema Shai, the God of the Bible, they chosen you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to be a peculiar people unto themselves, not under, not equal, but to be above all these other nations that are upon the face of the earth. You see? So you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, you're Yahweh Shema Shai, the God of the Bible's chosen people according to the Bible. So I'm going to grab my next precept. And again, Lord willing, You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans, the elect, are edified. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. That's right. And this is just backing up Deuteronomy 14 and 2, which we just read. And again, when you look into that word holy, it means to be separate. And this is referring to you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans. You see? You so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, you're supposed to be a separate people, a separate nation unto the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shema Shah. You're supposed to be separate from all these other nations upon the face of the earth. It reads on, the Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. That's right. So again, Yahweh Shema Shah, they didn't choose Moab and Ammon to be a special people unto themselves. They didn't choose Ham to be a special people unto themselves. They didn't choose Esau to be a special people unto themselves. They didn't choose Elam to be that special people unto themselves. They didn't choose Ishmael to be that special people unto themselves. The God of the Bible, Yahweh Shema Shah, have chosen you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to be that special people upon the face of the earth unto themselves. You see? And you could tell that Yahweh Shema Shah have chosen you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to be that special people upon the face of the earth unto themselves. Why? Because you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, you're better than all these other nations upon the face of the earth at everything that you do. When it comes to looks, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are better than these other nations. When it comes to dressing, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are better than these other nations. When it comes to working, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are better than these other nations. When it comes to sports, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are better than these other nations. When it comes to acting, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are better than these other nations. When it comes to rapping, singing, you name it, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are better than these other nations. When it comes to cooking, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are better than these other nations. You see, the list goes on and on and on, you see? So the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shema Shah, has chosen you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to be that special people upon the face of the earth unto himself. It reads on, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. That's right. So again, Yahweh Shema Shah chosen you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to be that special people upon the face of the earth unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Not under, not equal, but above all these other people, these other nations that are upon the face of the earth. You see? So again, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, you're the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shema Shah's chosen people. You're their chosen nation. So I'm going to grab my next precept. Let's see. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 44, verse 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant. That's right. And Jacob is our forefather, whose name was changed to Israel after he wrestled the angel. So Jacob represents you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans. It reads on, in Israel, not Moab, not Ammon, not Ham, not Esau, not Elam, not Ishmael. It said in Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, whom I have chosen. So who is Yahweh Shema Shah, the God of the Bible's chosen people? You so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans. That's plain. I'm going to grab my next precept. 41. 8. This is Isaiah chapter 41, verse 8. But thou, Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, art my servant. Jacob, whom I have chosen. That's right. And again, Jacob is our forefather whose name was changed to Israel. So Jacob represents you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans. You see, the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shema Shah, has chosen you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to be his chosen people, his chosen nation. It reads on, the seed of Abraham, my friend. That's right. So you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, you're Yahweh Shema Shah's chosen nation. You're the chosen people. All right. This is Leviticus chapter 26, verse 46. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai made between him and the children of Israel. That's right. So the statutes, judgments, and laws, the commandments of the Bible, were made between the Heavenly Father and Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Americans. You see? Yahweh Shem Shai gave you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Americans the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Why? Because they chose to give you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Americans the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible. Because you're their chosen people. You're their chosen nation. He didn't give the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible to Moab. He didn't give the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible to Ammon. He didn't give the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible to Ham. He didn't give the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible to Esau. You see? He didn't give the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible to Elam and Ishmael. The law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible were only given to you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans. Again, why? Because you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are the Lord's chosen people, and they chose you to receive the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Read that from the top again. This is Leviticus chapter 26, verse 46. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which Yahweh Shem Shai made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. That's right, because Yahweh Shem Shai led you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans out of the land of Egypt from being enslaved under the Africans by the hand of Moses. And Moses led you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans into the wilderness where you receive the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible. You see? So I'm going to grab one more precept, and then that'll be that. Just proving that you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are the Lord's chosen people. All right. This is Psalms chapter 147, verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob. Again, Jacob is our forefather, whose name was changed to Israel. So this word, the Bible, was shown unto Jacob, which represents you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans. His statutes and his judgments unto Israel. That's right. The statutes, the judgments, meaning the commandments of the Bible, they were shown unto who? Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans. So again, you're the ones who get the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. And why did you receive the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible? Because the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shem Shai, chose you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to receive the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Verse 20. He have not dealt so with any nation. That's right. So anybody outside of the nation of Israel, Yahweh Shem Shai is not dealing with them. It reads on. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh Shem Shai. That's right. So these other nations, they don't know the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shem Shai's judgments. Why? Because they weren't given the commandments of the Bible to know his judgments in the first place. You see? But the point is, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, you are the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shem Shai's chosen people, chosen nation on the face of the earth. You know? So that's my lesson. Lord willing, you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, the elect or edified. Before I go any further, I'd like to give all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Heavenly Father and his only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Next up, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone from teaching us this truth according to the Bible who rule well, and a double shalom to all the sincere Akim throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and righteousness and sincerity to the best of your ability. Till next time, shalom.